Hello and welcome back again. So in this video we're going to check out the filter section in WOW2. Now the filter section is this red area here and is made up of these 5 knobs here. The biggest one is the cutoff knob here, which you may have come across from synthesizers and other filters as well. So if you're not sure what cutoff does, it basically determines the area of the frequency spectrum at which the filter works. So its true function is determined by the menu here. So let's say in a high pass mode, it's going to determine the point at which high frequencies are allowed to pass and low frequencies are cut away. In low pass mode, it's going to do the opposite. So it's going to determine the point at which high frequencies are cut away and low frequencies pass through. Let me demonstrate that. So that's low pass. So at this point now, we're cutting away all frequencies above this line. Let's put it to high pass. So now we're allowing high frequencies to pass above this line and we're cutting away everything below. In the band pass mode, it's going to determine the point at which this band of frequencies is passed through and frequencies either side are attenuated or turned down. So it's the most important dial on the filter really, the cutoff. As I said before, one of the most important features on WOW2 is the vowel mode down here. So when I click on this little lip icon here, it gives me the vowel mode. And at this point, now the cutoff actually moves between these 2 vowel sounds here. It does move in a way determined by the filter types as well. But let's put it on to, say, a low pass. Let's try a notch. Can't hear a huge amount going on there. Let's try it with a bit more resonance. We'll talk about resonance in a minute. Bit of distortion. Let's try a band reject. So we're starting to hear it now at these high resonances. So in this case, the cutoff is no longer simply acting as a low pass or a high pass or a band reject in this case. It's actually going between 2 different vowel sounds determined by this menu here. Let me just reset the sound. So we've kind of touched upon resonance there. What resonance does is produces a boost around the cutoff point. So we have a cutoff point here. What the resonance will do, if we increase it, it will boost these frequencies at this point. We can't actually see it doing it on here, but we should be able to hear it audibly. So it's producing this boost at the cutoff point. Now some filters can sound really kind of thin and nasty when the resonance is really high, but that actually just sounds really, really nice and smooth even at high resonances, which is great. Now in some cases the resonance is also capable of self-oscillation. So with high resonances on some filter settings, you'll hear the filter start to actually generate a note itself, which is called self-oscillation. So our other dials here is a dry-wet balance, so we can bring in a little bit of the affected signal. Let's put it back onto this vowel mode. So let's say we wanted a little bit of that alongside our original signal, where we could bring in this dry-wet balance, change it I should say, to bring in some of our dry signal. So a little bit thin sounding with it all the way wet. So with the dry signal, we kind of get the best of both in a way. We're affecting the drum beat in this case in parallel. We have a volume control. Which determines the volume of the signal coming out of the filter section. We have our distortion here. So we have 7 different distortion types. The first one we have is parabolic, which is a tube-like overdrive setting. Now all these distortions are allowing us to add extra harmonics to the equation. Just adding punch and grit to the sound. They're really nice quality distortions, these ones. They've been deliberately oversampled, which helps prevent aliasing, which is where the distortion can generate nasty frequencies that we don't really want to hear in the signal. This time it really just generates nice harmonics, which sounds smooth and pleasing to our ears. So the next one we have is hyperbolic. It's the same as the parabolic, but it's got a slightly more angry sound to it. We have diabolic, which is a diode-like distortion. And this gives us a very nice punchy sound. We then have this sine setting. This is a sine shape of distortion. We then have this 1-bit setting. And what this does is turns everything into a pulse wave. Remember, I have it on the vowel setting here, so let's try it without that on. Also have very high resonance, let's take that off. It's really nice quality distortions here. We then have this crush setting. This is a bit crusher. So it reduces the bit rate to create that very lo-fi kind of sound. And the final one we have here is digitize, which reduces the sample rate. So very nice quality bit crusher and sample rate reducer there as well. Now finally on this filter section we have an input and an output meter here. So we can see that if we push things too far, we start to introduce distortion at the plugin stage there. So that might be a good idea to just come back on the volume here so we're not introducing any distortion there. Okay, so that's the filter section. In the next video, we're actually going to have a look at these filter types in more detail. So I'll see you then.